What's up, guys? Welcome to Hive Skate Shop, home of the Hive Wire podcast. Today we got a good interview with Chad Cocilo. We're going to talk about skating, art, old Sutton Park, tons of dope stuff. We also have a raffle at the end of the video. So if you want to get into these raffles, make sure you comment on the previous podcast, and we'll do the drawing in the following podcast. So make sure you do that. Like, comment, subscribe, all the business, and be on the lookout for our edit for the skate jam from last week. We're going to post that this week, and I think that's it. Without further ado, let's get into it, guys. What's up, guys? Welcome to Hive Wire podcast. I'm here with my main man, Chad Cocilo.
What's happening?
What's good, Chad?
Oh, just living it, trying at least.
Yeah, I hear that. How's your day today, dude? You were telling me a crazy story earlier.
It started out as pretty normal, I guess. Got some time off of work, just chilling with my pup. Went for a walk, and there's a car running, which is weird when you see a car running and no one's in it. So I'm a little nosy, and I look over, and this chick's just slumped out.
Sleeping?
Just completely OD'd.
Ooh.
Turning kind of
Bad
pale
look.
and shit. Yeah, it wasn't a pretty scenario, so I ended up calling the emergency services, and they got there crazy fast. So commend New London, new fire department, paramedics and stuff. They did a real bang up job. I was really pleasantly surprised with the minimal police intervention and the actual help she received. She was pissed. And anybody's going to be pissed in that situation. I guess your high's gone.
Yeah.
You get woken up by
I guess so.
you get woken
Shit.
up by some random dude, telling you got to go to the hospital. It's gonna ruin anyone's day. But I'm glad she's alive. So,
Yeah, at least, yeah, exactly. You get to keep your life. Don't get to keep your high, but you get to keep your life.
Yeah, she's alive. Whatever. She's gonna make it to another day. So that's okay with me.
That's good shit, dude.
Yeah,
So where are you from originally, man?
So born in New London, down the road, right at L&M.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Then we moved around a bunch as a little kid. Dad was a interesting character. So we went from town to town a little bit. But ultimately, me, my mom, my brother settled in Little Quaker Hill, sandwiched in between Waterford and New London.
Mm-hmm. Nice little neighborhood.
Yeah, nice, quiet. It's all old people and little kids. That's it.
Mm.
But it made for a cool childhood with a lot of kids around in a small vicinity. So we were able to have, summertime where just kids getting together and running through the neighborhoods, or
Big games of
stay at
manhunt
one
and
person's
shit.
house, eat all their food, and then
Yeah.
move on to the next. Whoever had the pool, you'd end up there and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was pretty cool. It was a little town, but it was rad. But it was funny. You get to the high school and people are like, Quaker Hill, you got one, like running water and shit. It's like, funny. It's like
It's
we're
a
in the
normal
same
residential
fucking town,
neighborhood.
dude. Yeah. So, but it was cool.
So what was your local growing up? I mean, I know what your local was, because we met there. But, tell the audience, what's your local?
Well, I like to say my first local was my curb, because I had my curb cut and sewer caps on Scotch Cap Road. That was my favorite spot to skate ever.
Sick.
It was a decent downhill that didn't go too fast, but you didn't have to push it all once you started. I had this one spot where I'd start, and I could get all the way to Route 32 where the cars are going 85 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the end of my line. But that was my first local spot. That, and there was a church up the road, but they got kind of mad.
Mm-hmm.
But then they built Groton Park.
Yes.
And that changed everything.
Sutton, G-Town.
Yeah.
Yeah, we met there when I was like 12 or 13.
You were very young.
Young boys.
And I told you this story, but I swear to God, I had never seen an inward heel flip before. And you ollied up the up and over ledge, and you did one off of it, and I was just like, what the fuck was that? Who is this little kid?
I did them all fucked up back in the day and didn't extend my feet properly.
No, you did the push down one.
Yeah, where you're like,
but you did it wasn't a pressure flip. I knew it wasn't a pressure flip.
Yeah.
You popped it,
I could never do a pressure
Your
flip.
foot kicked it down, and it was wild to me. Because growing up skating where I did, I was the only skateboarder in Quaker Hill, and I was one of 3 skateboarders in Waterford. I found out once I got to high school. So I grew up skating alone. So like I didn't know names of tricks. I didn't like I was that kid, you know. And then when I got to the skate park, I got made fun of for doing bonelesses.
That was like a time period where you did not put your feet on the ground with the hand on the board.
Skate etiquette until I got made fun of enough to learn it. And even then, I was like, "Y'all are dumb."
Well, give it like 20 years, bro.
I caved, and like my skating changed with it. But I did find out that like, yeah, doing a boneless over the hip is really fun, but also like having a solid like back 180 is necessary.
I mean, people do fucking sick bonelesses nowadays. I mean,
yeah,
it's kind of I like
one of the cool
that's back
things
in
now
style.
is like everything, almost all tricks are acceptable. There still are illegal tricks, of course, but that's all personal preference. And you know, there's going to be that
tricks.
Yeah, but like everyone's got their favorite tricks they like to see, favorite tricks they like to do, and tricks they don't like to see. Everyone's got like those categories. Of
What's
tricks.
your trick that you don't like to see?
Oh, I feel like that's being mean.
I feel like everybody's got them. I can give you one from.
I mean,
that I personally I hate.
Here's the thing, though. I've been proven wrong so many times when someone does it well.
Yeah,
you know,
like Deshaun Jordan brought laser flips like into the
like he can
public
huck a
eye.
laser
Like,
flip
oh,
that's
that looks
impressive.
really good.
I remember when varial flips were like a no, and Brian Anderson was like, "Okay, y'all want to see one?" And then he did a fakie one down double set, or no, he did the fakie one down like a 10. But he did a varial flip down like a double or triple in his right part. And it was like, varial flips are back. Like, they're cool as shit as long as you can do them good.
Yeah, you just got to catch them.
Yeah.
Make it look
I remember,
nice.
you know, there was always that phase of like what tricks were cool. Like, I remember when kickflip back lips were like the coolest thing to do down handrails. And I was like, I'm never going to be pro.
Yeah, for real, bro. There's so much faith you got to put into that trick, dude.
I did that trick once on an up ledge. And I was like, okay, cool, did it.
For me,
but it was like because I could kickflip into it, and then it kind of went slow up, and then I could pop out of it, and I was like, all right, I did one.
It kind of like cradles you a little bit while you're going up.
It was like the easiest thing you could do it on too, and I was like, but fuck, I did one. I did a kickflip back lip.
Fuck
right
on.
For
me, I'm not that stingy or prude about like, you know, kind of fringe. Like level skateboarding tricks, but I personally, because like I think you know, Donnie said this to me one day, Donnie Barley. He's like, yo man, you know, I get it, like, you know, some people want to do a big spin, back tail, big flip out, whatever, they're gonna go, you know, 8 miles an hour, but I'd rather watch a 20-mile-an-hour long held back tail slide. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm kind of like one of those people that it's like, I don't want to see a 360 hard flip. Like, I just feel like that trick.
I mean, I didn't even know that was a trick until someone
that.
Called it something. It's like, oh, did you just not catch your hard flip and it kept going?
Yeah. And it just looks preposterous.
I mean,
I'm sure there's some people that do that well, but I just think it's too ridiculous.
Think about late flips when we were younger. They were heinous looking.
Oh, yeah. Like the ollie up late back foot flip, too.
Dude,
it's
Seva
like...
the other day did a late flip. I think it was a nollie late front foot flip or something. Whatever he did, it was fucking incredible.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen one done like that before.
When somebody does it out of a crook, I'm like,
Oh, and like when was it P-Rod like nollies out of a crook and then does the late.
Yeah.
And then I think Shane did one too.
Yeah.
But like, oh my god. But also, like, how could you be that good at skating when you have? That's where you're pushing yourself to, because you're like, well, I got to one up this one.
Yeah, it's like kind of circus-esque. You know what I mean? It's kind of wild.
It's wild, but it's also rad that people are that good.
Yeah, for sure.
Shane O'Neill, Suchu, P-Rod. Yeah, just like people, they're just naturally that talented, or they figured out something.
Yeah. For me, I feel like I like tech stuff. I really appreciate like Shane O'Neill's skating, stuff like that. You know what I mean? But there's there's a point of no return though. Like, you know, when you get to, like, and I don't mean to throw shade at anybody directly, but when you start to do like sex change, flip tricks in and out of your grinds. So, we know who we're talking about. You know what I mean? I won't say anybody by name, but that is kind of like,
When
it
Tori
gets out of
Pudwell-
the realm of where I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch and digest this.
When Tori Pudwell was doing like kickflip back lip, kickflip back Smith, kickflip back into back tail, it was like, why?
Yeah. You're like,
What's
this is
going
kind of
on?
too Tony
Like
Hawkish for me.
well, not even that. It was just like, you shouldn't just do things just to do things.
Yeah, it's like taking your sauce cabinet and dumping everything onto a burger just because you're like, I just want a lot of flavor. And You're
Yeah.
like, you know what? You should have cooked the
Yeah.
burger right. You know? Yeah.
It's a bit intense, and it's sometimes unnecessary.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah, absolutely. So, change gears. What's your setup looking like right now?
These days, I finally narrowed it down to something I like, and it's funny because I just went back to an old setup basically, but the Ashad Twin Tail 825,
Great board.
the Thunder 825s. Right now, I'm rocking the Hollows, because I'm old and my knees hurt.
I got the hollow lights. I'm right there with you.
Yeah, and
We some old bitches out here.
Spitfire Classic Formula 4s because they're the best looking wheel I think ever on a skateboarding.
Yeah, I like how they're not bright white.
Yeah. They're going to yellow out anyway, or the old ones would, so why not just kind of start there? If they didn't do that on purpose, bravo for doing it on accident, because it used to, like, you would buy new wheels because they got gross, not because you needed new wheels, just because they looked gross.
Yeah,
And that's
I
just
remember.
a waste of money, resources, and all that stuff. And
I think Luke looked at my Luke Martin looked at my wheels one day and they were yellow and he's like, "Don't you own a shop?" And I was like, "Ooh."
oh yeah. Oh man.
Roasted me.
Yeah, having a shop and having a shit set up, man, you
can't
will
do
get
that.
roasted immediately. Because,
Yeah.
like, don't you have a shop? And it's like, yeah, but it's for
I'm
everyone
also
else.
frugal, dude.
You know,
what
it's
I
like,
mean?
I'm not taking everything for me. It's like, I got to sell some of it.
And we grew up skaters, not like we grew up fucking rich. Like,
Yeah.
fucking, you know what I'm
I can't
saying?
buy all of my own inventory, bro.
Yeah, real shit.
I gotta
What am I
sell
gonna do?
shit.
Throw together all the best completes and then not have anything to
Yeah.
sell?
No, I'm the type of person that skates a set of trucks for years.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I've
dude.
only broken a couple sets, and those indies like stage
They're on 11 now.
8s or something, or 9s. One of the weird ones where they messed with the base plate. I broke a base plate, and it's like I weigh 145 pounds, like soaking wet when I was a little kid,
Yeah,
and I broke an indie base plate.
that's crazy. Yeah, that's got to be like
shouldn't
some like level of
That's when I
manufacturing
switched to
defect.
Thunders, because I was like, if this is what's happening with indies, then I can't skate these anymore.
Yeah, I hear that. I fuck with indie. I skated indies forever, but I really fuck with Thunders nowadays. You
It's
know,
a nice light truck, responsive. They turn real well. They grind nice. And I swear it's one of those things where I can every single time you get it straight out of the box or whatever, they're the same.
right?
Every time's the same. They turn the same. I never tighten. I never loosen. I'd take them factory set right at the thread line, you know? Or like if they're not there, if someone tightened them like in the shop, I always put them at the exact like thread line just so it's like
So the top of the axle nut is flat with the
like
top
flush.
of the
Yeah, just so it
kingpin.
looks like factory.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
not messed with at all. And I just skated that way forever.
Yeah.
And it kind of moves in the pivot cut a little bit, like they jank a little bit.
a little bit. I
But-
bet.
I don't like. I don't dive any further. I don't do bushings. I don't.
Like fucking with the bushings and shit like
No.
that. I don't.
It's just-
I
it's
don't
the
either. I
fa-
had
I
a
just-
little bit of that madness for a little bit.
Ah, man. Now you start taking apart your trucks, and then all of a sudden, you put them back together, and you're like, I swear I put them back together wrong. You start thinking that shit, and it's like, why even take them apart?
Yeah, I tried to get rid of the washers, get rid of the top
I've
kingpin for
heard
a little
some
bit.
weird- You ever
I
seen
have
that
them
Instagram
clacking,
account?
you know, the clackers, but
There's an Instagram account about like hacking your trucks. I forget what it's called, but it's like they do all these weird things to your trucks to make them like exactly like kind of what Paul Schmidt does with your board to you. These people are doing to their trucks for them.
really,
And like hangers, they're like Frankensteining a hanger onto a different base plate with a different pivot cup and like all these things to get their perfect truck.
damn, just Frankenstein and
It's
some shit together.
it's a lot of effort.
That's
a
some
lot of
shit,
work,
man.
but it's kind of cool that people are that into it.
Yeah, like getting into like the science and stuff.
Yeah.
So what was it? Because like, you know, I don't know if a lot of people do know this, but you had the the New London shop before I was around. What was that like?
Yeah, technically I had the second skate shop in New London
Shout out, dude.
after another one that was on like a third floor called NLC Skate Shop.
That was the punk rock one that was
Yeah,
at
it was
300
just
skate. Yep.
Yeah, there was an upside down American flag on the wall. There was incense constantly burning, for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, what was that reason?
We had a killer back room there, but my buddies owned it, and I don't know. I got things for cost there, so like I guess I skated for them. I don't know. I'd wear their T-shirts at contests and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then years and years later, I had come into some money, and I was like, I've always wanted to do this. So I opened up a little shop called Green Street Skates on Green Street, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And for about a year, I sold skateboards and stuff, and it was cool for a bit.
Yeah, it does get hectic.
And then it was, dude, the stress of, and like, this was 2010. And
it's a tough time period for
2 days
shops.
before the grand opening, my dad died. And it was just like, I was already like steam engine, full pace. I couldn't stop the train. So I went into it just in a weird headspace of kind of not caring, and just wanted to be like, I'm just going to provide skateboards for everyone. I didn't like, my prices were so below margin of what I should have been doing, because I just had to beat Zoomies. I gave away a lot of product to kids in the neighborhoods who didn't have like working bikes and stuff. So I would just like ask people to leave behind what they were buying something new of, so I could hobble together other skateboards for anyone.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a weird time, and then the stress of like knowing people, especially parents, like are your biggest clientele, are spending their hard-earned money for a skateboard, which isn't food, it's not clothes, you know what I mean? It's not the heating bill. It's, I don't know, it just sort of like weighed on me after a while. And the skateboard industry was getting really weird. Like, I wasn't allowed to have a Krell Tap account.
Really?
It was strange. I don't even know why no one would give me the email address. It was just like, dude, it was just a weird time in skating.
Those like levels of exclusivity as far as the brands that you're like allowed to get contracts.
It was really strange.
It's kind of preposterous
and
at
then
times.
It like, it was,
the shoe
was
thing is
so
really
bizarre.
the most fucked up thing.
I didn't even have enough square footage to bring in shoes. I just wanted to bring in skateboards. Like that was the main thing. I wanted to give people access to skateboards locally, because there was a shop in another state in Westerly, and that was it. Or CCS and stuff. And there were Zoomies in the mall where you're going to buy warped fucking boards that have been sitting on a wall for 3 months,
Some trash.
So, but yeah, it just got to be like wicked stressful, and I didn't healthily mourn my dad and everything. So after about a year, I sold everything off and just kind of left skateboarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear about your dad, man.
It's, it sucks. It's been 12 years now. Doesn't suck any less, but it just kind of, you think about it less. So I guess it just like, it affects you a little less in time.
Yeah, I just went through it a couple weeks ago. So
yeah, I'm sorry about that. I remember you telling me about that. Said it's really rough losing your dad young.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I know you're in your 30s now, but it's still really young, and your dad was young.
Yeah,
And,
it's just tough to lose a parent, just generally,
it's
especially
weird,
when
man.
you're really close to them.
It's a strange one,
Yeah.
because it's going to happen, but you expect, you're just like,
you never know
we got
when.
time. We got time. Like you're an asshole right now, but we got time for you to turn your shit around.
Yep.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. But so yeah, I got just kind of really jaded with skateboarding, the skate industry. Man, I wish I could remember more, but I blocked a lot of it out, and I partied a lot of it out of my brain. But I did get a tattoo to commemorate the time that just says "not impressed," and it was. I remember I got off the phone or an email with somebody or a distribution thing, and I was just like, "Are you?" Oh, it was. I got off the phone with a particular distribution, and their minimum was more than my shop rent, and the dude was like, "I don't care," and I was like, "You can't." I was like, "Your brand is like kind of important around here. Like it would be really cool to have it," and they were just like, "Sorry, bud," and I was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah,
and I didn't have a business credit card, and like I didn't really know what I was doing, but still, I was just trying to do something cool and good.
Right.
And it just that one kind of broke me.
Yeah.
So I walked across the street to the tattoo shop my buddy owned, and I was like, "You got like 20 minutes, but I got $40 for you."
Yeah. Dan Pierce was still there, right?
Willing City Tattoo, the first tattoo shop in New London in like 47 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dan
Shouts
Pierce
out to
did
Dan,
that.
Dude. Fuck
So,
yeah.
Everybody else getting tattooed in New London. You should thank Dan Pierce.
Yeah, dude.
He's probably gonna hate me for bringing that up.
Yeah, no,
I'm serious,
he's pretty,
man.
pretty.
There's an article
in the
day paper you can look up.
Yeah, I was in the first year that I had my shop. I was in that same location. It still said Green Street Skates right on the top. I just never even moved it. I just like put Hive Skate Shop on the like window.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had the same landlord. Dude, the landlord.
Oh god, that landlord was wild, man. My hot water heater exploded, and he was just like, "Okay," and I was like,
did nothing.
Well, you can pay the electric bill. That's like $400 because it exploded and ran for 24 hours straight 1 month. And I was like,
I had to fix the hot water heater when I moved in too. I had to put another one.
He didn't fix it.
Oh,
it just
shit,
exploded, and I didn't have hot water the entire time I was there.
He'd walk in and like be smoking a cigar
while
I'm in business, and
I was like, dude, I sell clothes. You gotta get out. You gotta get out.
You're the landlord. You just walked in,
and he would just be like, yeah, it's fine, it's mine. It's like, no, but everything in here is mine. Like I bought all of this. I painted this whole thing. Like,
and
that dude was wild.
And that shop was probably about the size of this room and stuff too. It was like,
yeah, that shop was tiny, but it was perfect. If it was a little bit bigger, I would have just moved in there.
Yeah, it was a fun place to. I used to love being on Green Street, like kind of like in downtown, but kind of like in a little nook side street. You had your own little cut.
And the Dutch right there, they hated us.
They hated me too, bro.
They just hated the noise of skateboarding. That's what it was.
They would call the cops on us for skating out front, and I'd be like, "Bro, nobody's coming into your bar. It's not our fucking fault."
Y'all were younger and a little bit more annoying, probably.
Yeah,
but like it was just me and Dan skating before, and they would just like make remarks about us being older and like still skating or something like that. I feel like, but it was whatever. It was chill though because I had the shop. Dan had his tattoo shop, and then next door was the Attic, which was a boutique ran by Kristen and Denny, who now run the Annex over on Bank Street.
Oh yeah,
that was
shout
their
out.
First or second. Well, there was like 140 Below, which was like a little studio thing, and then the Attic was a boutique shop that carried, jeans you could only get in New York and like one-off custom clothes. Like I had clothes there from art shows and stuff that I would sell out of the.
That's tight.
Yeah, so
that's tight.
It was a real good scene on Green Street for a bit there.
Yeah,
we had an urban arts festival. We had a bunch of graffiti artists come in from all over the East Coast and paint and stuff. And
was that
Denny and them organized the whole thing?
Did you organize that with Rob Guess?
No, I didn't. Or I just helped. I helped build walls and I helped carry stuff.
I heard about that.
Put sandbags where they needed to go. I was just how can I help? This is the coolest thing I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm. That's dope, dude. That's really sick, man.
Yeah,
that was at a time period when, skateboarding was taking such a huge hit from the aftermath of 2008, man. In 2012, 60% of skate shops closed across the country.
Yeah.
Just
I was one of the idiots who opened right before that.
That was the year that we opened. I was like 60%. In my mind, I was like 60% of shops closed, so it's a perfect time to open.
Right.
Like not knowing
but
it's
also,
like, no, it's not like buying stock.
7-Ply was closed, right?
Yeah. Like a year after 7-Ply closed.
Yeah.
Shout out to Ted. That was a dope shop.
Ted
bro.
held it down for the longest time. Wesley was close enough.
So sick.
To get stuff and like to have an actual skate shop to go in and be like, there's a video playing. They have blind jeans on the rack.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was like mind blowing to see what like a real skate shop. And Ted definitely had
It was well put together.
Coolest. His first spot that I went to was like over the river. Oh, that was a later. He had a few different locations, but he had one like the early one.
It was like off. It was like off the out of downtown, but
No,
in
it was-
between like White Rock and downtown.
No,
That little tiny place.
Before that, he had a little spot like on the main strip of downtown, that on the riverside. So when you looked out the back window, you could see the water.
Oh, that's sick.
Yeah, it was sick.
That's dope,
but yeah,
dude.
Ted held down for a long time because I remember opening and being like, "You cool?" Like I feel like I asked him, or maybe I did in my head or something, but I remember it being cool when I talked to him. Like he would come get tattooed by Dan.
Yeah, he was super
And so
cool.
he never like it was never like an issue having a shop on the other side of the bridge. Like, well, you know, he was what? How far is his shop out of here? Like 25, 30
half
minutes?
hour away.
Yeah, not maybe not even that long. But
About 25 minutes, maybe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I just wanted, like, there was another skate park in Waterford, and then there was skate parks popping up on the other side. So it's like, well, they could start traveling towards Groton and stop at a skate shop here, you know, and then get to the park. So that's like kind of why I was like, it's a good idea.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
When I met Ted, I was skating in front of Paul's Pasta, and I was like 13, and I had my second board, which was given to me. It was a Donnie Barley board, and I had like
Was it
like
Zoo York or Birdhouse?
it was an Element board.
Oh, dang. All right.
Yeah. So I had like flame grip tape, like Santa Cruz flame grip tape that I thought was really cool at the
Did he
time.
clown you and give you new shit?
Which was preposterous. But no, I was skating in front of Paul's Pasta, and I saw him walk by or whatever, and he was with I think he might have been with Jeff. I can't really remember. But he was like, "Yo, come over here. Like we're about to skate this mini." And he brought me like right down the street, me and my buddy Chris Eckert at the time.
Yeah.
And he brought us
barn?
Yeah. And it was
yeah.
like one side of the ramp, you could like look down and you see the water under you and stuff like that. And they had the main ramp and then the
skated that ramp a
long
bunch. It's the old
extension
man
spot
ramp.
with the
Yeah.
wall. Bro, I was blown away. I was
Yeah.
like, oh my God, I
That
cannot
it's like
believe that
the
this is
secret
here.
ramp is like in your city.
Yeah, it was like the first like glimpse into being like, oh, there's hella older people that skate around here.
Dude.
This is about to be sick.
I would get invites to the ramp through Dan or through another dude, Freebird, and like, you want to go skate the ramp tonight? And it's like, oh, sick. The dudes are getting together. Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, and I was the youngest one there.
Yeah.
And it was sick. I was
Yeah,
like in my
dude.
30s, and I'm the youngest one there, and we're ripping this like mellow 4-foot ramp for like 2 hours, and nobody's like every now and again someone would kind of get hurt, but also it's just like these sessions of like mellow skating and just having a good time and like legit listening to cassette tapes the whole night,
Yeah,
because that's the stereo that was out there.
absolutely, dude.
I remember skating that spot too and being like, holy shit, I've heard rumors about this place.
What a time to be alive, man. You know?
Like the rumors of the fish bowls over at Coast Guard. Apparently there used to be like concrete pools
Really?
that were either for breeding fish or they used to be fish ponds in somewhere in like that area. I've heard stories about them since I was a little kid. Like
And
in
they're
the woods
skatable?
somewhere, yeah.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So many memories, dude. So many good times. You know?
It was, I think we came up in a really cool time of skateboarding where it had come out of came out of the late 80s into the early 90s really kind of weird.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of weird shapes were happening and gimmicks,
Yeah.
and then
Kind of
stuff
lost its
like
way a little bit.
Keenan Milton happened and Gino Iannucci happened, and like it was like, oh,
The original Switch God and
Okay.
God of Style right
but you
there.
had East Coast dudes getting out west and bringing that East Coast power into style. It was just like, this is skateboarding.
Dude,
And
the
like,
crust
that's
brings
like,
out the best.
I feel like our pioneers and heroes from that era, I don't know, really made skateboarding beautiful.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I agree, dude. I totally
We
agree.
had a really, really sweet introduction into skating, I feel like, for what was like, when we got into skating and what was current was pretty rad. And I understand why it's coming back now.
Yeah. Yeah,
It makes total sense of
totally
kids
get
looking
it.
back and being like, oh, so you can, go all the way back to Animal Chin or whatever. And cool.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Not big on
you go back
synchronized
to like
skateboarding.
underachievers, or Eastern Exposure.
Yeah.
Or sorry, same thing. But yeah, you go back to those videos, and it's like, oh yeah,
Like Sabotage.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah.
static videos.
That's That's good
You know
stuff.
what I mean? Like that kind of stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
any Bobby Puleo part,
Yeah.
any Jack Savick part,
Mm-hmm.
any Ricky Oyola part.
Yep.
Like the ones where, yeah,
I used to love Kerry Getz back in the day.
yeah, another East Coaster.
Thought he had
Hell yeah.
great style,
What a kickflip.
dude. What a
What
G.
a kickflip.
Yeah, dude. Really great style.
But that I can't get behind the hockey temper.
No, it's so played out, so
And I
out
don't
of date.
like how
when
it
you
was
do that
glorified
now,
back then, and it became. I even was that asshole sometimes where I was like, "Oh, this is what you're supposed to do."
I had
'cause
my
you're not
moments.
landing your tricks.
that's what I thought pro skaters
Oh,
did.
man.
Nowadays, it's like when you see somebody do that, you're
Yeah,
like, pro.
everyone's
dude.
like,
we're trying to
it's
have
not a good
fun.
look.
Yeah.
Everyone's having fun. We're here to have fun. You're not do a different trick then.
Yeah,
Try something
totally.
else, or chill out for a moment, breathe.
That's one of those things that I think that we're in a pretty happy place in skateboarding right now, where it is kind of chaotic. There's a lot of things on the table, but like that, like keeping the fun in it, I think
Yeah.
is like really at the top of the
They are
ideological
kind of trying to
like
push
pyramid.
that, keeping the fun is always important,
Yes.
but you can't force people to have fun.
No.
But what I do really like about skateboarding right now is how honest it is.
Yeah.
People in skateboarding companies are forced to be honest about certain things, and also skateboarders themselves just seem to be more honest and open about everything.
Yeah.
Whether
yeah.
it's themselves and their story and struggles or what's going on. So everybody else is aware, of like what's happening inside of skateboarding. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone is trying to have their voice and stuff. But I feel like the fact that, like, especially after the pandemic and stuff, like so many people started skateboarding, got back into skateboarding.
Yep.
So there's like so many more voices now and accessibility to everyone because of the social media
Yeah. Yeah.
that it's like everyone's kind of forced to like in that kind of in that direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
I think we're seeing in real time that like people from all walks of life that believe all types of different things, that look all different ways, like can share the same pastime, and I think it spreads like a level of like personal empathy that kind of didn't have that much of a role in skating. You know what I mean? But I think that's like a really, kind of like dominant ideological factor nowadays is like
But I
people
think,
people have a lot more empathy.
the rise of like skate camps and like people just teaching kids how to skate at the skate park, it's all that kind of stuff's like kind of always happened, but I feel like it grew because the sport, or want to call it a sport now, it just because it grew so big and like people wanted to learn, so I feel like that kind of like changed things and like it became a little bit more inclusive. It's it's
Sure.
getting there,
Absolutely.
but it's got a ways to go, and it's it's as simple as certain trick names to what a bigger issue, but like skateboarding is growing. It's doing the work, and a lot of the people in skateboarding are also doing the work, which
Yeah.
is cool to see, because you see in other cultures where it just kind of gets stagnant where it is, and it's just like that's how it is, and that's that. It's like, oh, you don't have to do that.
Yeah, skateboarding's always changing and always will be, which is a great thing. That's one of the things that I really like the most about modern skateboarding is like, it's like watching a work of art in progress, just the zeitgeist of like skateboarding, generally
Yeah.
speaking.
I mean, well, the right skateboarder, not to dismiss anyone in their skating, but like the right one to me translates into art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you can see that they understand what's happening between their feet, the board, their momentum, their speed, like everything.
The way it's going to look to you, the way it's going to sound with music, the spot choice,
they
the
just
trick
have
selection.
a certain way with the skateboard that just they just get it, and then that's what, to me, anyway. Like the first time I saw PJ Ladd skate, he just understood how how it worked and how to manipulate it, and like he figured it out.
Yeah, and still rips dumb hard.
And it wasn't like, Rodney Mullen figured a lot of stuff out, but PJ Ladd figured out how to do it like in the style of that was pleasing, and that was hard to do with all those crazy like tech tricks and stuff.
I was in Hartford the other day with a bunch of people, and PJ was there. Like, I don't know him personally like that. I met him that day.
PJ Ladd?
PJ Ladd, yeah,
No
and he
fucking
does
way.
a switch front tail switch flip to Reggie on this like kind of like shootout ledge
Yeah.
thing. If you've ever been to Hartford, you'd know what I'm talking about.
At Heaven?
No,
Like a
it's
spot.
it's like yeah, it's a spot.
Oh, right on.
But he did it like 6 times before he got it like the way that he wanted.
Yeah.
And I was like, I would have kept 4 of those before.
Right, yeah.
You know what I
I would
mean?
have kept
But
the first one.
yeah,
Fuck
he's
that.
just
I
so
would've kept
good
the
too,
first one.
and just effortless, bro.
Yeah.
Like super good.
I feel like I've been in like at the same party as him or something back in the day because homies in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever met him. It just seems like an illusion.
Yeah, I tried to like spark up some
Like, you try to
dialogue
shake
with
his
him,
hand,
and
and he just like goes through a mist, and you're like, wait, how's he over there now?
yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like it's PJ Ladd.
I was like trying to like
Wait,
spark
what?
up a conversation with him about his like shoes or some shit like that, and he's just like real brief, like pretty
Yeah.
friendly, but
Well,
like
I'm sure
really
he's used
brief.
to,
And I'm like,
you got to expect he's probably used to like the
my
worst
God.
conversations.
people probably fan out all
like,
the time.
worst.
Yeah,
You know, like
I was trying to be
can't
mellow as
fucking
hell. Like, dude, I like
imagine
your shoes.
how he would just like don't understand that you can't just like rip up on someone and be like, whatever. Like you don't know them.
They don't owe you
Like,
anything.
ease into that if they will allow you to have that conversation with them, they will.
Yep.
But like you have to meet the person first. I know you've
Yeah.
seen them in the videos and magazines and all this stuff, but you don't know that person.
Right, and they don't know you.
Chill.
So when you're walking up, they have no
Especially
idea how to
now with,
anticipate
like,
how you're
social
going to
media and
communicate.
stuff, like you feel like you've seen, like you're in that person's life or whatever, because they're like posting. People just post everything now.
Right.
I can't even imagine. But like, I'm sure he was cool, which is rad.
Yeah, he was dope, and it was
But I'm
just
sure
amazing
like,
to watch him
short,
skate.
'cause, like,
You
he's
know,
there to skate. It's like
shit, I
he
don't
doesn't
blame
know
him.
you. Doesn't owe you anything. Yeah.
I would
exactly.
never be like, hey man, that was brief dialogue. You know what I mean? I was just like, shit, I just talked to PJ Ladd.
Yeah,
That
that's
was
so
sick.
cool. I remember I got to see Rob Welch skate in person, and I just like sat down. I was
He just he did the hella cool stuff, right? Am I thinking of the right guy, or
Rob
am I
Welch from
straight
Lakai and Expedition.
capping right now? I think I'm straight capping. Yeah, but that's sick, dude. That's fucking
Rob
dope.
Welch did the cab back nose blunt at Pier 7.
Okay, yeah. No, I was talking about a brand. It might not have been him, but so yeah, dude, those are all great things. I love modern skating, and I love growing up in the era that we grew up with,
Yeah.
or into, you know.
Yeah.
But what would you say is like something that comes up like that you just like one thing that you just like don't like about modern skateboarding? What's your least favorite thing about modern skateboarding?
I don't like how they. I have to say, they gave it like a numerical value.
Oh,
Like,
like
I
the point
don't- I
grading
don't
system
like
in a
what
competition?
Street League evolved into. I wish competitions made more sense to how skateboarding actually is.
Yeah, like if you went to go to Street League and it was like a dime glory challenge, they do it in such a cool way.
That's kind of wild.
I love that.
I love
though,
that, but
you
that's
know?
not necessarily if you're gonna like the other day when we had the skate jam with
Yeah.
the best trick stuff. That like I feel like everyone's included.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's like pretty much every trick that got landed got something.
Yeah,
Like there
fuck
wasn't
yeah.
500 kids here, but still,
Right.
it was like that's kind of rad. You
Right.
know, there wasn't like a there was like first place, second place, third kind of ish,
So to
you know,
speak.
but it was still like you get to pick first and you get to pick second, and it's like,
Yeah.
and those were like legit. Here's were the tricks that were landed, and there's the order we feel like they should be handed out in, and then everybody else who landed a trick, it's like here's a T-shirt, here's some wax, here's something. Like you walk away like that's rad, and you make everybody feel included, and it's just like kind of like everyone in that jam session was pushing each other. It's like, oh, they just did that, so I'm gonna try this, and then
Yeah.
you know,
And
that
the
whole
energy
thing.
goes up
Yeah.
like so quickly.
Yeah, that kind of weird like cardboard cutout of Street League. It's just strange.
It is.
You know? And then
I definitely know.
now
And then the Olympics and
it's just
shit too.
all,
and you're like,
all the arguments start
puke.
about the point system and men's versus women's points and all this stuff, and it's just like y'all did this to yourselves.
Yeah.
It's like, remember how cool Tampa was?
Yeah.
It's still like it's pretty cool, even though it's a little weird. But yeah, those old Tampa contests were so amazing.
Yeah.
The
The reason why I for me, kind of like the philosophical reason why I and practical reason why I like to do skate jams over contests. Like, people are like, hey, why don't you do like contests at the park? And I'm like, 'cause they're fucking boring and they're lame. And it's not that they're boring, right? But they're dry and they're lame. And then you have to actually grade people's tricks, and it's so hard to
And
do.
there's always that one kid who skates the park every day.
Yeah.
And it's like, should they be like, how do you judge them against like the kid who showed up from Hartford who skated this place 3 times,
Right.
but
Yep.
also rips,
That's another factor.
but doesn't have the same comfort level and lines? You know what I mean? So it's like,
my whole thing too is that, like, when you have like a first, second, and third, and you have like a purse, right? Let's say like, you have a $5,000 purse, a $3,000 purse, and a $1,000 purse, first, second, and third. You could take that $8,000 and then you could just have a best trick where you spread that money around to everybody, so it's like it gets dispersed in a way more even way, so everybody feels like,
and like we did with the product, everyone gets something, and then you were also able to have a cookout. Everyone got fed. There's plenty of places to hang and chill. Like the parents were there. It was just like it made a whole day.
Yeah, that's the good shit. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Instead of hearing people
Also,
argue, I should have got first, I should have got second. It's like,
don't encourage
shut
the cash purse in skateboarding. Like, don't encourage that shit.
It's fucking gross, dude.
Like, I can't. A lot of the people who have signed up for like X Games and Street League back in the day were just cashing those checks, and I respect the hell out of that. Like,
I'm not
make your money in skateboarding, because nobody is making there's the pros that have full-time jobs. It's just like,
that's sad.
It hurts my heart.
It is.
You know what I mean? It's like, y'all should just still be getting paid
for sure
for what the contributions to skateboarding, and the people doing it now, like who are also working, but they're also a pro skateboarder putting out parts, and it's just like that's rough to hear.
Yeah,
it sucks.
And
also,
like,
I guess that's the reality of like where we are now.
Yeah, when I think about like people who like do the contest syndicate thing, like nowadays, like I get it. You're
Make
a
your
full-time
money.
skateboarder. You got to make your money. I'm never gonna hate on that. It exists. It's gonna exist. I have my criticisms.
Even
I just
sponsorship
don't.
deals.
I don't want to do a I don't like to do contests. I just typically don't like to do them just because I just feel like it's not that rad.
And like in the same vein, there's a few companies that are weird to get sponsored by, but cash check, because it's not going to be around forever. You can't skateboard for 70 years.
True.
You got to do something, and it's rad though that a lot of people have been really smart about it, and you see dudes like Matt Miller following Tim Gavin, getting into real estate and stuff, and
sure, like Mikey Taylor or whatever, or like fucking which I probably wouldn't do it the way he does it.
I mean, Mikey Taylor it's oh man, I mean,
that's fine. People got a lot of criticisms.
I guess that's another great
him.
thing about skateboarding. It just never stops producing entertainment.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? Or like some of the Baker guys doing like a beer company or whatever.
Yeah, like Herman making off to being a millionaire. Like, respect, dude. That's so rad.
He's a G, dude.
Yeah. Like all the dudes who who threw in on that and became millionaires. And
what's it? Is
even
that
Mikey
St.
Taylor?
Archer,
like, shout out
or
to
is
Mikey
that a different
Taylor,
one?
but like I prefer Mikey Taylor from the DVS video, like that madness section that's just like talking about skateboarding and like how it just like doesn't make sense with his brain. Like I related so much to that Mikey and like in that person in skateboarding back then, and it's just funny to see like now it's just this crazy mogul, like million. I don't know if he's a millionaire, but that's just funny, like how far removed from skateboarding it is. Just because it doesn't seem like a natural progression whatsoever.
It's such a funny thing because like I understand it on one side of the coin where you're like, hey man, the dude's getting older, he's getting more mature, his wants and needs have changed, the way he's providing for himself has changed. Like, that's fine. I could totally see that. I could justify that rationally. And then I also like understand that like we were saying before, skateboarders are like relatively purist in some ways. Yeah. Like if you were a skater and you were
gatekeeping, and I mean, I guess I'm doing that now.
Well, the thing is, if you're a skater and you like, people know you as a skater, when you do something different, people hate it. They're like, this is the hole this is not the hole, but this is the box that you should
generally
be in.
A small group, a small loud group. doesn't like it, and then a lot follow suit. But I don't know, what's cool now is like, you talk about illegal tricks and stuff. It's like a lot of things aren't considered illegal anymore, and skate parks are filled with all sorts of cool tricks and interesting ways to ride your skateboard. And like, there's that one weird clip where the dude like flung his board up and like, I don't know, like hit his back into it or something, and then landed back on it. It was very strange.
Are you talking about that one clip from
like he popped it up and like hit it with his back or like his shoulder, and then jumped back on it?
Oh, the like shoulder.
Yeah, it was really,
no comply. I was like, oh.
If that's what you want to call it, I guess so. It was really, really strange.
Or like the fancy lad dudes, they do.
Those
like,
dudes rip so hard and
love
have one of the best
like
podcasts I've ever listened to.
Acid-infused skateboarding, dude. You know,
they're such a breath of fresh air in skateboarding and podcasting.
Yeah,
to
they're
be quite
cool.
honest, because it's a good look from that perspective in skateboarding of like fun skate houses. How cool can we make this? With what we have right here.
Yeah, they're dope. I like their shit. Was it Matt Tomasello or whatever? That dude's a fucking genius. I feel like I butchered his name. Sorry if I did, buddy.
It's Matt Tomasello. He's the one who makes all the contraptions and stuff.
Yeah,
it's really
and
impressive.
he's really talented at skating generally without the contraptions.
Yeah,
he's pretty
it's
fucked
another
up.
person that you see him skate and he just gets it. They figured out something, or it's like that just natural knack for playing with a skateboard, making it look really cool and really easy for some reason.
Yeah. What do you think? Who do you think the brand that's like at the top of the heap for you right now? Let's just say for deck brands. Who do you think is really doing it the best? And you can't say Antihero because we all know that they're the best. You know what I mean? They have the best approach.
It's hard to say because a lot of graphics are very strange now.
Yeah.
I feel like everyone's trying to one up each other, or just kind of. There's a lot of like roses on skateboards right now.
I don't like the roses on skateboards.
A lot of those.
That's like putting a butterfly on a skateboard. I'm not a big fan of that.
There's dude, I believe Raza Libre had some pretty rad butterfly skateboards, I believe.
I've got a couple on the wall from Weekend right now that like I like Weekend. The graphics are tolerable. They're all right, but I'm not about butterfly on the board type of person
the Raza
for whatever
Libre
reason.
Were a little hippie dippy Rasta kind of, but like I liked their aesthetic and what they were doing. And I'm pretty sure I remember a butterfly board that I was into. I might have even owned it.
Yeah. I love limousine graphics. They're super good.
Those are pretty cool. I like
Evison, bro. I fuck with their graphics a lot. I know they're obnoxious and they're a little.
Isn't Evison a water company?
No, Evison's a Japanese board company that's through Theories of Atlantis. They're fucking dope, dude. You know what I mean? And all their skaters have that like they have just different ways of looking at skateboarding. It's really cool.
I
love
like what
their graphics,
Limousine's
though.
doing, that kind of like modern graphic like take on things.
Yeah.
It's funny, like as an artist, I always like think about what I would put on a skateboard deck that would look cool, and I have in the almost 20 years that I've been doing art, like kind of like seriously, I've never come up with a good idea.
Really?
I swear to God, because I care so much about what's on a skateboard, not even the one I'm riding, but like what's like if it was be mine and somebody else is skating, because like think about like the chair series from Chocolate, and or I mean even like you can think about that era in Chocolate alone with all those amazing series, the Evan Heacock's portraits and all that stuff. It's like those are some of the coolest graphics ever made.
Yeah.
If I'm going to contribute to that in skateboarding, it's got to somewhat live up to what I think are like the coolest graphics in skateboarding.
I understand that.
I hold myself to this ridiculous standard that I'll never live up to.
Yeah, see, that's one of those things that like when I try to make a board graphic and I try to like put like meaning and like some type of metaphor or like allegory into it, I always just like I end up making something that I'm like this isn't for me. It isn't right. That's this graphic that's right behind you. Yeah. That's how that graphic happened, because I was trying to do something that was like edgy and really artistic or whatever, and I'm like sitting there like, and I made the board fucking dozen times in different graphics, and I'm like, dude, I'm creating nothing of value or importance. This is bullshit. And then I was like, oh yeah, that's what the graphic is, dude. Skating isn't meant to be taken seriously.
What I do like about what I would like the idea of like putting art on the bottom of a board that's going to get destroyed anyway. That's a pretty sweet idea. And so like, but even so, like knowing it's going to go away, I still like. It's so weird. I would like there's this tier of skateboard graphics that I feel like I would have to like kind of be a part of to even contribute that, and it's so ridiculous. Like that's like such, I don't know.
No,
but that's
I understand
just like how I am because I hold skateboarding so near and dear, and like even like with some things with art, it's like I won't do something until I feel like I'm like I've got it. You know, it's like I'll keep it like in practice and secret or whatever until it's like ready, and then it's like okay, I feel like I can show people this now.
That's dope.
Yeah.
And you said you've been doing art for almost 20 years.
Like kind of taking it seriously, yeah.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Dude. What do you?
I think I always like drew on stuff, and when I was really little, I would draw people, but they looked like M&Ms.
Yeah.
And then we got really into designing our own pro basketball shoes when we were like at a certain age. Me, my brother, and my cousin.
Cool.
So we did that for a long time, and then yeah, I mean, like as I went along, like I would do art here and there, and like stuff for like Mother's Day. I'd like make stuff and draw things and whatnot. But then when I was like 20, maybe 21, I think a good friend of mine passed away, and I ended up making like portraits for the family and bandmates and all this stuff. And then
that's really cool.
From like that day, I just like didn't stop. Like I kept buying supplies or canvas or rummaging dumpsters for stuff to paint on, and just kind of like
that's sick.
It just snowballed from there.
Okay, so what would you say you describe like your like artwork now that you do?
The last big show I did was called Alone in Space. Shit, I'm gonna mess this up because it's been a while.
I personally really like that a lot too.
It was Alone in Space 2020. Oh, an open love letter. And it was a series of 69 helmets, space helmets, like astronaut helmets. Yeah. Well, I started with 72, and 3 of them didn't fit right in the frames, and I had very specific frames and a grid I was making. So I ended up with 69 in the show, which is pretty cool anyway.
Shouts.
It's divisible by 3, so it's good with me.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did these 3 different space helmets that were kind of like 3 different eras of a space helmet, I guess, technology-wise. And in each face mask, there was like a space scene where there's like a planet exploding or stars, shooting stars. And then each drawing was accompanied by a song lyric. So I built a playlist along with the art show. And it all stemmed... Like I just started drawing the helmets as a like a coping thing, because I was like, I'm not really doing anything. I kind of feel like shit, and I was in a pretty dark place, and I was like, I got to do something. So I was like, I'm gonna draw one thing a day.
Yeah.
What can I draw one thing a day of? And I started. I think the first thing I drew, it might have been a helmet. There's 3 things. I drew a helmet, I drew a radio, and I drew a car. Because I was like, there's got to be something I can draw repetitively every day to feel like I've accomplished something, just to have that. Because it was like just something that's like necessary.
Right.
And so that I did these first few, and I was like, okay, I think helmets is where I'm going to go. And then I stuck with these 3 different like versions of space helmets, and so I just kept every day I would do at least one. Some days I did 2, which was kind of rare though. But then after a while it became kind of manic, and I was doing it like now I have to do it. So when I hit 72, and it was about 70 days later ish, I was like, okay, I'm done. Like, I had to just like cut it off, and then I had all these drawings with nothing to do, and it happened that the annex was open, and I ended up lining up a show there with them, and that was probably that's my favorite show I've ever done. And I know
really
that doesn't really
like
answer the
artwork,
question
bro.
of like what kind of art I do, but it was
That's
all
okay. It's hard to describe like your
it was
artwork
all like
in one
line,
word.
basically,
you know?
I guess line drawings. I don't know how to describe it. Like I drew everything with marker. It was all black and white, and kind of graphic. I mean, every helmet was only the size of a $50.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
It was sick, dude. I
but
really
you can
like
check it
man.
out on my Instagram. There's a highlight reel of all of the helmets. It's Soda Pop Clientele.
Yeah, follow Soda Pop Clientele on IG, boys. Boys and
then
girls.
you can see the newer stuff. Like I've always been really into American traditional tattooing and pop art, and I've kind of meshed the two together over the years, I feel like. And so I've got like a series I did of a bunch of androgynous mermaids, or mer people, I guess.
Yeah, sure. So who do you think or maybe who, or maybe some that you went through? What do you think inspires your art the most?
I don't know. I feel like every artist has the inner need to create, whether it's visual or 3D or any medium, music or something. It's kind of it's like I don't know. You can't ignore it, so you just end up doing it.
Yeah,
And
I
skateboarders, I feel like
completely
have
agree.
it too. Like you start skating, some call it an addiction, obsession, whatever. But I feel like it's a need to create
Yeah.
and to like make something, do something with what you have, and I think that's a big part of it. I've always been inspired by the old New York artists, from Keith Haring to Basquiat, and to the next generation that came after them. Where like Ed Templeton, not from New York, but he showed out in the East Coast, and like I'm so bad at names, I just know faces. Thomas Campbell is another one from back then that was probably a decent inspiration. Like anybody who did skateboard graphics that also did art, I was always into that. Like Templeton always did his own graphics. So Mark Gonzalez, now he's fine artist and stuff, but both of them, and so that was always really cool to me. So a lot of those people were influential. Margaret Killigan was one of the. She passed away, but super talented artist, real prolific. I think in the graffiti scene and in the art scene in the short time that she was here.
It's dope.
She passed away from cancer a long time ago, but yeah, there's some good documentaries with her involved in it. And then like nowadays, it's the younger crowd, I guess, is inspiring to see that there's other people getting into it and having that same kind of passion to keep the scene alive and have art shows and like group shows where everybody gets to show something, and
people want to contribute.
It's like it's pretty cool. And I've always been really influenced by graffiti ever since I was a little kid. And the first time I went to New York, it's just all that stuff is just really inspiring. Whether it's what it takes to go out and do it versus the end result. It's the colors and the way letters flow and stuff like that. So I like to take, I guess, I don't know, as corny as it sounds, just kind of everything, like music. I like that
Art
last art
imitates
show.
life, right?
A lot of it was like they were all song specific, and I've done a lot of paintings or drawings where I could tell you what I was listening to. Because of what's in it, or just like that kind of like memory recall.
Yeah. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff, like kind of putting meaning and value into it and putting a shred of your own, lens and stuff like that. Like, it's one thing to be like good at painting a bowl of fruit, You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
it's another thing
But
where
if you
like
can give that bowl
you
of
can
fruit
like
some sort of emotion, where
Sure.
people look at it and they're like, "Damn,
yeah,
okay."
if you
Like,
can look at somebody's artwork and tell that they like, you know, like puked their emotions onto it, for lack of a better
yeah, I
turn
know
of
what you're
phrase,
saying. Yeah,
you like that means something.
yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
And you can feel it too. And like I remember hearing that about art growing up, and people were like, "Yeah, you can just feel it when you see it. You feel something." And it was just like, "It's just paint on a canvas. What are you talking
Yeah.
about?" And then like you see, like pieces of work like in real life, and then you're like, "Oh shit."
Yeah. You're like, oh God, I did not
It
realize
just kind of
this
hits you in
is
the chest,
very
and
talented.
it's like, "Oh,
Like,
okay."
That's something that
Okay.
I feel like you need kind of like experiences that you're like, if you are looking at a piece of artwork and you're like, oh, I've gone through a similar experience than
Yeah.
the artist did, you can like kind of
Yeah,
feel
if you know about the artist,
vibration kind of
yeah.
coming through
Oh,
the
for
artwork.
sure,
And
for sure.
without that like real life experience and stuff like that, like it's hard to relate, you know, because
Yeah, there's a lot of
your
talent out
empathy
there
isn't
for
developed,
sure.
you know?
Like a lot of people can draw really well, and a lot of people can paint really well. And it's nothing against the work they produce or anything like that, but it's just not everything is my cup of tea when it comes to art.
Sure.
So I'm real specific
all
about like what I put on my
perspective-driven.
walls and like what I purchase. I love to support locally, of course, but yeah, I mean, yeah, art's really cool. It's subjective and it can be anything, it can be nothing, and that also sounds kind of stupid, but it's true.
It is absolutely true.
It's really cool. Art's one of the cooler things that we've got on this weird planet, along with like skateboarding's really cool, music's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Personal
so
expression, skilled,
Yeah.
talented personal expression is
I mean,
great.
skilled or not, it's just like the having that kind of stuff. They all fuel each other.
I love it. So what do you got planned for the future? Do you have any projects coming up?
Hopefully, show coming up. I'm trying to do another one downtown.
Yes.
This one should be my first show of prints, so it's to make things more available to everyone, cost wise. So I want to have like multiple prints available of each piece, and have them displayed kind of big, so it kind of like creates, I don't know. I haven't done one like that, so why not?
Yeah, dude,
All
that's
my
dope.
other shows have been original pieces, and they go off to some home and I never see it again. So I was like, why not try something a little different? And then I still might sell off the originals, but I like the idea of being like, do you want one? And you want one too? Cool. You both can have one.
Yeah,
I think that's kind of rad, Instead of it, like nowadays, I'll just redraw it again. And it's
Yeah.
like my drawings take a while and they hurt.
That's what's up, man.
So yeah, I think it's a cool idea to kind of make them accessible like that, and just kind of like a high quality print.
Yeah, I love that, dude. Fuck yeah, bro. I mean, if more people can put things in their hands and, they can have a great experience
and, like,
based on that, and like, yeah, dude, that's great,
The whole
man.
nine. It's like when you sell artwork, it's like I hope they like it forever. I'm glad they spent their hard money on my stuff that I created, and there's always a chance that somebody else sees it and like wants to start doing it, or their kid sees it and wants to start drawing or doing, you know what I mean? Like there's always that kind of stuff too, which is always pretty cool.
That's dope, dude.
Just like if you ever put out like a skate part and somebody sees it and it's like that inspires them to skate harder or whatever, and things like that.
That's a great feeling when you like a particular trick. You feel like you do it well, but then somebody's like, dude, I got that trick good because I saw you do it. And you're like,
you hear that a lot where someone's like,
bro.
I learned my front crooks from you because like I saw it in video footage. And it's just like, that's how you properly do it. And it's like you emulating somebody else's style ends up being your style because you inevitably add your own flair to it.
Yes.
Because it's inside of you. So it's like, just taking that inspiration from everywhere. Like I said before with like creating, you just kind of soak it all in, and sometimes it's your bad day that makes you create, and sometimes I mean it's not often that like I have a really awesome day and then I'm like I'm so inspired to create, you know what I mean? Like that's a lot of my stuff is pulled from a darker place when it comes to, you're not darker, just like more of an honest place of like who I am, where I am, and that sort of thing. And sometimes that honesty is darker than lighter. So,
dude, I hear that. A lot of
Yeah.
my a lot of my artistic motivation and just generally my like business motivation, a lot of it comes from a place of pain. You
Yeah.
know, pain and necessity, and
Yeah. But you can
and the
translate
conversation
that into
between the
something
two.
positive, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what life is.
And sometimes, you know, I know I've felt it, and other people have said it, that skateboarding can be therapeutic, and releasing, so can creating and putting it down on paper or writing, all that stuff. Getting it out in some way.
Playing a fucking instrument
it's
or
not
some
always
shit.
just, going to the doctor and talking. Sometimes that other kind of release helps just as much.
Yeah, nothing against therapy and stuff like that. I get it. I
It
did a
works,
lot.
you know,
I did
I've
a lot
done
of
it. It
therapy
works for
growing
sure.
up as a kid because I was
Yeah.
struggling with a brain injury from a car accident.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking crazy.
But I don't know. After a while, it's just like, why?
You got to find the
Somebody's
right
getting $300 an hour just to
Yeah.
kind of tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah,
It's
you
like
definitely have to find the
fill in
right
the blanks,
doctor,
man.
and it's good to have someone to talk to like that for sure.
For sure.
And
And
not everyone has that,
And just
Like,
generally speaking, dudes, like, obviously, I don't really think it's that big of a thing nowadays because I think men are more open to it, but men should be more open generally to the idea of therapy.
men should be more open to a lot of things.
You know what I
that's
mean?
the road we don't need to go down. But
Yeah,
if therapy
for
is
sure.
important, it's cool, man. I'll back therapy.
Yeah, everybody needs somebody to talk to.
Yeah,
For sure.
I got into it late, but it was definitely beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. Dude, I had to work through some hard years of my life, and that shit helped me a lot. After a while, it was like I kind of just knew what they were going to say, so I just kind of built it into the back end of my brain.
It's meant to give you a tool belt to get through life and use those tools in the hard situations.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I mean? It's tough as a, young person to kind of learn cognitive behavioral therapy.
Yeah.
But it really helps when you have a little bit of clinical help. For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Absolutely. All right, man. So, it was
Been a
really
pleasure,
great to
man.
talk to you today, man.
Yeah, dude.
Real shit, bro. My fucking
Appreciate it.
guy.
Yeah, man.
All right, guys. Take it easy. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Good times, bro.
Yeah, man. That was
Hell
good.
yeah. Always, dude. Riveting, amazing stuff. Always great to talk to Chad. Okay, guys. So you stayed to the end of the video. We really appreciate it. As always, like, comment, subscribe. If you want to get into these raffles like the one we're just about to do for these sweet pieces of grip tape that Chad donated, custom grip, follow him on IG, by the way. But if you want to get into these raffles, just make sure you go to the most recent podcast and comment on it, because we do the raffles in the next podcast, and that's how we generate the people that are in the raffles. So just to be clear, and we're not going to waste any more of your time. Let's see who won these grips. And the winner is... It is Aiden Skates with 4 8s. Aiden, congratulations. We really appreciate your support. We're going to get this grip tape out to you. And yeah, we appreciate everybody. Thank you guys very much for watching another one of our podcasts. We'll have another one up next Tuesday. And enjoy the rest of your week. Get out there, skate, have a good time. Enjoy yourselves.